And in this game, you are an alchemist going up against a rival alchemist. And we do have all these fancy images on Board Game Geek, and they do a great job of showing what these cards look like. But why stoop to Board Game Geek when I have a copy of the game right here? And this is what the game looks like, all set up with a couple rows of cards, with the top row representing a bunch of different essences that you can purchase, which essentially act like a one-time use ability. And then at the bottom here, we have these 3 cards on the left, which are going to determine what happens to you on that round. And then on the right here on the bottom, we have a few different items or forms that you can purchase because you're going to be upgrading yourself as the game moves forward. And this is a button shy game, which means that you're going to be doing quite a lot with just a few cards, because all of these cards are actually double-sided, with the items or forms being on one side, and then the back having those different encounters. And all these cards here represent your alchemist. You're going to have a basic form, a basic item, as well as a starting companion. And this track here represents basically how much money you have to purchase different items out in these rows. Like I said, you do have a rival that you're going up against as well, and this is going to be controlled by the game. And this is also a double-sided card, where the first time you get to the rival phase, you're going to be flipping this card to the opposite end and then also giving that rival a form. There's a bunch of different forms offered in the game, and they all behave a little bit differently, but what's cool about these forms is that you can purchase them for yourself, but there's always going to be one that does get assigned to the rival. Every time the game does come back to the rival phase, you're going to be rotating this card 90 degrees, and if it fully makes its rotation, then you're going to be losing the game that way, but you can also lose the game if you completely run out of health. And this is a game that plays over a series of rounds, with the start of the round being dictated by these 3 encounter cards. The way these work is that you're going to be resolving the first section of the first card, the second section of the second card, and then finally the third card is going to be dictating the market prices for that round. What's cool about the way that the economy works in this game is that you could purchase different types of essence at a market price this round, and then sell them on a future round where they might be worth more, and that can be a way that you can generate income in this game. Just to quickly show you how all of this works, this first encounter card says that for each essence in my pack, I have to either lose 2 shards or take 1 damage. Since I haven't purchased any essence yet, that is going to have no effect, which is lucky for me on this first turn. But then the next encounter card says that I have to take 1 damage unless I have a water elemental tag. And since I don't have that tag on any of my cards, I would then be taking 1 damage, lowering my health down to 4. Finally, we look at the market prices here, and these have the different types of essences and the costs that they're going to be associated with for this round. And then I can just go and purchase anything I want from the item row here, or any of the different types of essence. But there is a nice card here that gives me a bit of a loan, and it costs nothing to add into my inventory. And it also grants me with 4 shards, which is going to be taking me up to 12. But anytime that you purchase a card from this row, it's going to be replacing the associated card that you already do have in your inventory. And unfortunately for me, the current market prices are pretty expensive. Pretty much every single item here is more expensive than the next market card that will be taking its place, except for this blue one. So I guess I'll just go ahead and buy this blue essence, which will then bring my amount of money down to 2. That's pretty much all I want to do, so I'm going to be moving into the next phase. But to determine what phase that's going to be, you have to check how many cards are still in the essence row. If there's 2 or more, you're going to be moving into the exploration phase. But if there is just 1 or less, then you're going to be moving into the rival phase. Since there's 2 or more, we move into the exploration phase, which pretty much means you're going to be moving a few cards around. But before I do that, I do want to correct one rules goof I made earlier, because when you do purchase an upgrade from the upgrade row, you then replace it with the one that you previously had. Now that that's corrected, let's continue with the exploration phase, where you're going to be discarding the rightmost upgrade, then sliding these 2 cards over. You're then going to be taking this encounter card and then flipping it into the upgrade row. And then we take the rightmost essence card and then flip it into the leftmost side of the encounters. And you can already see how this is going to be changing up the entire game state for the following round, but then you can also see how it's slowly going to be diminishing your essence row, which means that even if you don't buy any essence, you're eventually going to be going into that rival phase, because these cards are going to run out. Let's just go through one more round now that everything has cycled around here, because this new encounter card says that I can buy any number of essence for 1 shard less than the market price. And then this next one says that I get to heal 1 point of damage unless I have a fire icon on any of my cards, which I do not have because I got rid of it last turn, which means that I get to heal health. And then finally, we have the new market prices, and this one allows me to sell this blue card for 1 more than what I purchased it for. Whenever you sell an essence, it goes back to the left-hand side of the row, but that one's going to be gaining me 11 more of the currency here, which is going to be putting me up to 13. But I'm essentially just going to be trying to buy up more essence this turn since everything is at a nice discount, especially this one since it has a cost of 1. Plus, everything is 1 less shard than what it's listed as, which means that this one is completely free. These 2 pink cards have a cost of 2 this round, which means that they only cost me 1 each because of the discount. So I'll just go ahead and buy both of those, which brings me down to 10 here. And this sets me up to sell them on the next turn because I'm going to be getting a bunch of extra coins, and I don't really want to buy much more, otherwise I'm going to be triggering the rival round. But since I do want to show how that actually plays, let's just pretend I went ahead and did 1 more round, and then we ended up with 1 card here that would then send me into the rival phase, where when that happens the first time, you flip this over to the other side, and then you're going to be looking for the first card in the discard pile that has a form on it. Then that's going to be your rival's form for the rest of the game, and then you're going to be using this card to mark its health. Once you've done that, you're going to be resetting the play area and then continuing the game just like I described until you come back to the rival phase for a second time. But then at this point, your rival is going to be activating their special ability, which here says take 1 damage and then discard an essence from your pack. But this is also an opportunity for you to do some damage because for a cost of 4, you can deal 1 damage to the enemy. And the game continues like this until either you or your rival are defeated. And if this one does sound interesting to you, you can check it out. I'll have it linked in the description below. And of course, you can click that button to get notified on launch.